Before we go any further, look, I get it. I've had my doubts about the Pokemon franchise as a fan since the very first game. I've been waiting for that real evolution of the Pokemon franchise, and I feel that we take 2 steps forward but 3 steps back each time. Saying that, do I have fun with these games? Sure, but do I wish Game Freak would really lock in and create something that blows me away like Nintendo did with Zelda, did with Breath of the Wild? Absolutely. Pokemon Legends ZA arrives with the weight of expectation on its shoulders. Following the success of Pokemon Legends Arceus, fans hoped Game Freak would refine the formula, fix long-standing issues, and deliver a true next-generation experience on the Nintendo Switch 2. The result? A fascinating and sometimes contradictory package. A technically impressive, mechanically engaging game that's often hampered by dated design choices and uneven presentation. Set entirely in Lumiose City, the sprawling metropolis first introduced in Pokemon X and Y, Legends ZA trades open plains for this urban landscape. You arrive as a tourist only to be quickly swept up into the city's Pokemon ZA Royale, a massive tournament that forms the basis of the game's narrative. Alongside battling, you'll also take on missions at a detective agency, taking on research missions and uncovering a deeper plot that threads throughout the city's underbelly. The story itself is serviceable, occasionally engaging, but really groundbreaking. There are hints of mystery that helps to keep things interesting, but the absence of voice acting is hugely felt. Characters animate beautifully, their gestures and expressions have a level of polish Game Freak has rarely achieved, but their silent dialogue boxes rob key scenes of emotional impact. It's a missed opportunity. A well-cast voice track could have elevated this adventure into something genuinely cinematic. Still, the writing does its job and there's a charm in its simplicity. The detective angle brings some novelty and side missions often provide fun diversions, but you'll soon wish Lumiose had a bit more life. For all its size, the city often feels empty, populated by mostly static NPCs who never really seem to react to your presence. Where Legends ZA shines brightest is in its gameplay. Game Freak's experimentation with real-time mechanics in Arceus returns here, refined and tightened. Combat feels fluid, fast, and surprisingly dynamic. Pokemon attacks happen in real time, and players can dodge roll, reposition, or quickly swap team members mid-battle. It's a system that takes a little getting used to, but it soon clicks beautifully. You'll find yourself scanning the field for attack cues, dodging area of effect moves, and even launching surprise ambushes for an edge in combat. The addition of Mega Evolutions feels particularly well handled. Collecting Mega Shards from around Lumiose and trading them in for Mega Stones gives progression a tangible sense of reward. Triggering a Mega Evolution mid-fight never gets old, especially when the screen explodes in a burst of colour and energy. Boss battles are also another highlight. It's clear Game Freak has been working on really making these battles feel alive and unique as possible. If you had shown this game to a younger me after playing Pokemon Blue, I would have been blown away. This is the direction the series should be moving in terms of battling. Exploration, meanwhile, is structured around wild zones, self-contained areas within Lumiose that host pockets of Pokemon. These zones strike a clever balance between the freedom of Arceus and the structure of older titles. Each displays the creatures available, so it's easy to plan your hunts without endless wandering. It's a neat system that rewards both casual play and deep collection. There are actually many little systems within the game that help gameplay to feel more streamlined, and I think it's something that casual players will appreciate. Systems like visual or sound cues for shiny Pokemon, or even the guy outside the Pokemon centers who returns any Pokeballs you threw and lost. However, Lumiose's main city streets can feel repetitive. Many districts share similar layouts and architecture, and while the interiors are impressively detailed, the exteriors often blur together. The blandness of some of the environments is noticeable, most likely to keep performance as smooth as possible. It's sometimes easy to forget, because this is a game on the Nintendo Switch 2, that this is in fact a Nintendo Switch 1 game. Character creation remains one of the weakest aspects of Legends ZA. The initial setup offers only a handful of skin tones and hairstyles, a surprisingly limited selection for a modern RPG. You can tweak hairstyles later in the game at in-game salons, but the options are still limited. The lack of body diversity or broader skin tone representation feels particularly disappointing in 2025. To the game's credit, Lumiose is packed with shops, clothing boutiques, accessory stores, and stylists line the avenues, offering plenty of fashion options. But as you browse these streets, it's hard not to wish the same variety extended to your actual character model. On the Nintendo Switch 2, Pokemon Legends ZA runs smoothly at 60 frames per second. It's easily one of Game Freak's best performing titles to date, with fluid animations and snappy transitions. The improvement in lighting, reflections and texture detail over Scarlet and Violet is immediately noticeable. Indoor, the game shines. From softly lit cafes to cluttered detective offices, the attention to detail in these enclosed spaces is genuinely impressive. Step outside though, and the illusion disappears. The flat building textures and repeated geometry that can make exploration monotonous. It's especially apparent when you compare the vibrant Pokemon models full of life and energy against the lifeless backdrops of Lumios's streets. Still, the trade-off for visual simplicity here is stability. The game rarely drops frames on the Switch 2 and loading times are quick. If the visuals sometimes underwhelm, the soundtrack does the opposite. Themes build and shift dynamically during battles, and familiar sounds from older games are woven in subtly for longtime fans. The music and sound effects were definitely some of my favourite things about the game. Despite its shortcomings, I've had a really fun time with Pokémon Legends ZA. Its combat system is the most fluid and engaging the series has ever seen, its music is great and its technical performance is refreshingly solid. It's an addictive game that I've found hard to put down. Yet it's also a game of missed opportunities, a world that wants to be alive but often feels empty, a cast that animates beautifully but never speaks, and a customization system that still feels stuck in the past. It's easy to criticize Game Freak for its cautious approach, but there's also a sense that the studio is finally taking efforts to put their best foot forward in the 3D gaming space. Legends ZA may not be the bold leap forward fans were hoping for, but it's a confident stride in the right direction, one that shows how much potential still lies in this decades-old series. Pokémon Legends ZA is out now on the Nintendo Switch systems, priced at $49.99 on the Nintendo Switch 1 and $58.99 on the Switch 2 in the UK, and $59.99 on the Switch 1 and $69.99 on the Switch 2 in the US. Although shop around, as I managed to get a physical copy on the Switch 2 for under £50. Have you played Pokémon Legends ZA and what did you think about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Big thanks to you as always for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you like the review, subscribe if you're new here. I'm Dan, and until next time.